Yes, officially. So thank you all once again for joining us and for giving us a couple minutes to get started here. My name is Mike. I represent clearadmit.com. Great website for MBA applicants, people interested in attending any of the top tier schools all across the globe. We have one of those schools with us today. We have Amy Mitson, who is the Director of Admissions, Recruitment, Marketing, does everything, I guess, over at the Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth. So Amy is a fantastic resource who is here today to talk a lot about what makes Tuck distinct. Again, for those of you who are just joining, this session will be recorded and published on clearadmit.com, so come check us out. And with that, I will pass it over to Amy.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you all for joining me live from our studio here in Hanover, New Hampshire. I'm excited to be sharing some of what makes Tuck distinct with all of you out there on behalf of my team, because I'm definitely not the only one who does the great work that we do in admissions. Again, my name is Amy Mitson. I'm the Director of Admissions focused on marketing and recruitment, and hopefully we'll be able to share a lot of information with you today about the distinct aspects of Tuck and how you will be able to thrive and contribute in our community for 2 years as a student and beyond as an alum. You see my face, so hello. And we'll switch over to some slides here, which Mike will help me with, and we'll keep on moving. So if we can head into the slides so you all can see some pictures of Tuck, we'll
All right, hello everyone. Just stepping in really quick. I think we may have dropped audio. So just going to make sure our team over there at Tuck realizes this is Mike again, just popping in to make sure that everyone can stick with us as we work out an audio issue quick. And we will see what happens as they come back in. Can everyone hear me? I just want to make sure we didn't lose the session or if we just lost the microphone. Okay, good. So we do have audio in general, just had a quick little cut off of the microphone over at Tuck. They actually, just a quick little side note. So and this is great for students to know about, I guess, and hopefully this is okay that I'm sharing this, but brand new presentation rooms over at Tuck. So if you are working on presentations while you are a student, these are some rooms that you would be able to use. Which is fantastic. So really great capabilities. You have the audio, the video, the visuals, the display materials, all of that available to you. So some cool things going on at Tuck, some brand new resources being introduced to the classroom and to the students. I believe our technical issue has been addressed. Is that correct? I don't hear Amy just yet. So yeah, just so, so we have some really cool stuff going on at Tuck with these new rooms that allow these types of events to occur, which is great. All right, and we do have a question that did come through just generally about how this presentation is set up. So the question was, is everybody muted by default, just in case there's a lot of like side noise or extra stuff? Yes, so we do that. So anybody who's attending the event, when they come in, they are automatically muted when they enter the room. We'll keep the lines clear for that reason, exactly what you were asking about, just in case there is a lot of side noise or side conversations or just, people are in their cars, whatever it may be. All of that would be mitigated by the ability to cut that out. So. All right, let's see. Looks like they have another attempt here, and she's back. And I have audio now.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
If we share, yeah.
So we're good, and I'll just keep moving on?
Yes, so if we the presentation, if you want to put that. Oh, okay. Yep. Got it. Yep. You're all set. Good to go.
Okay. And so do our audience members see the presentation? Or, sorry. Oh, there we go. Another layer. So I'll share that. We're coming at you. I will do this. Okay. So we're good?
You are golden. Yep. Everything is back.
Okay, super. So we'll come back to a little bit of where we started, but just in general, thinking about all of you out there who are listening to our messages today and some of what makes Tuck distinct, while you have, as I know from reading many applications, individual reasons why you are pursuing an MBA, I think you do have something in common, which is that you're hoping to take your present experience, pair it with the MBA, and do something positive and good in the world of business. And with that, maybe Mike could launch those first poll questions and thinking about who out there is thinking about applying or has already submitted an application to Tuck. So one of the goals of our sessions will definitely be to talk about the distinct elements of Tuck. We'll have some slides, some pictures of our students and our facility, and also we'll head into hopefully a robust Q&A at the end of our session. But as we go forward, I'll take some time to elaborate on what makes Tuck distinct and also our mission of wise leadership. So then with the poll here, do I just make that, kind of bring that down here? Because I was trying to, and I can go to the next slide. Okay, thanks. All right, just navigating here. Thanks for bearing with me on that. So our mission at Tuck is to develop wise, decisive leaders who better the world through business. And there are different elements of wise leadership. So at Tuck, the practice of leadership is intentional and actionable. By embodying the essential elements of wise leadership, you'll be prepared to lead with confident humility, empathy, and judgment. Confident humility is the ability to recognize what you know and don't know. Believe me, that goes far when you're in a study group. And if you are the expert in the group, you can help the team move forward together faster. And if you're someone who needs an extra run through of a problem set, you need to let your teammates know so you can also move forward and learn and work efficiently with your group. So that confident humility is the understanding of what you know and don't know. Empathy is an ability to understand the diverse experiences of others. And with that, there is an innate give and take in it. You sharing an experience, someone listening to you and being comfortable enough to share one of their own experiences. And that's the empathy piece. And judgment, knowing when and how to take risks for the better. And you have infinite ways to practice that as you head through the curriculum at Tuck, recruiting, all sorts of opportunities to engage with faculty and your student community. And that judgment is something that you practice throughout your experience at Tuck. So as the global economy continues to become more dynamic and diverse, the call for wise, values-driven leaders, the kind of leaders that Tuck creates, will continue to grow louder. Tuck students and graduates have a mindset of both doing well and doing good. This is one of the most enduring aspects of the Tuck education. Our personal and connected community allows for a very integrated learning and leadership experience as you progress through your 2 years. Our approach consists of 3 components purposefully integrated into your student experience, thinking about academic, experiential, and reflection. So the academic, this is a combination of coursework and leadership assessments as you go through from the core curriculum into the elective curriculum. Experiential, coaching and feedback opportunities throughout your 2 years at Tuck are designed to accelerate your learning and growth. And reflection, this is where students intentionally assess progress and next steps on their leadership journey. And the dean will be the first one during Tuck launch, during orientation, who will give you the time, opportunity, and encouragement for that reflection. Though I'm sure you're doing some of that during the application process now, which I fully support. Our sole focus is the MBA. And all of the resources of this environment are focused on our MBA students. There's a very personal scale throughout the experience at Tuck while you have the opportunity to practice wise leadership. This practice happens while working in Hanover with your classmates and when you leave campus for global learning opportunities. Thinking about being challenged at every moment, that means many things to many different students in our program, but challenged through the curriculum, challenged through your own leadership journey, and challenged through recruiting. You have the opportunity to acquire the skills to advance your knowledge and your practical learning, to put that into practice, as well as to acquire the skills that will allow you to switch careers or to enhance your current career. Our supportive and trust-based community really encourages students to take risks, to challenge yourself with new coursework, or explore business in a global context that's completely new to you. You'll also be connected with faculty committed to both teaching and research. Our faculty have the highest number of citations per faculty of any U.S. business school. The faculty are going to challenge you inside and outside the classroom. They live and work in the community just as you do. They will kind of organize the conversation in the classroom to challenge you through case method, experiential learning, many different aspects, and you will be required to engage in the classroom, and the faculty are just as available to you outside that classroom setting, whether it's for casual conversation or advancing your learning in a particular research area. Our revised and reinvigorated curriculum is set up to help students maximize learning alongside the demands of the career search. We spent about the last year in a curriculum review, gaining lots of feedback from students, faculty, staff, and deans, as well as alumni. And in that, there's always a consistent challenge for students going through academics and also robust recruiting season. And with that, we have fine-tuned the delivery of the curriculum that will really allow you to optimize your academic experience as well as the things you need to focus on during recruiting. You'll learn through a combination of methods at Tuck, engaging individually and collaboratively with faculty and classmates through the integration of curricular and co-curricular opportunities, as well as experiential learning, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a few minutes. The academic experience also requires immersion, and we definitely encourage reflection, as I mentioned earlier. So learning by doing, that aspect of experiential learning, you are in the classroom for a period of time, especially as you go through the core curriculum, and then through some of the global learning project opportunities you have at Tuck. You take the knowledge that you learned while you're in the classroom in the community at Tuck, you launch out into global opportunities, and then you have the experience with small and large teams to practice some of the things that you've learned in that global setting. Learn from the organizations and companies that you're working with globally, and then return to Tuck to share that knowledge with the community. There are real-world business challenges that you will face when you are on projects. They are not just mere exercises. Our students have a significant impact on the organizations that they work with, whether it's through our on-site global consulting, which is a 3-week international consulting project, which is a small-scale group size. You and a team of 5 and a faculty member are deployed to a certain location, and you work with an organization or with a company as a consultant, helping that organization gain something through your expertise and focus on their business problem. Other experiential learning opportunities are through our centers and initiatives. So Tuck has many research centers and initiatives that have specific areas of focus where you have the opportunity to meet business leaders, to execute conferences, to tackle different topics that may be new to you that will help you with your future career search. When we think about leadership, it's not just leadership within the walls of Tuck and a context you're familiar with. It's also leadership outside of your comfort zone, maybe in a global context that you've never experienced before. We have something called Tuck Go, or global opportunities. So every student at Tuck is required to have one global learning opportunity course before they graduate from Tuck. So having this academic experience in a location where you have not lived or worked before, this gives you the opportunity to truly immerse yourself and understand how others live, work, and do business in that particular context. Nothing rivals being on the ground in another country, and that is very valuable for many students to gain perspective, but then also to give you some real-world experience, and that may be in a geography where maybe you want to work after graduating from Tuck. With Tuck Go, students choose from a portfolio of immersing global learning opportunities. I've mentioned 2 of them. The on-site consulting project. Actually, I mentioned one of them, the on-site consulting project. There is the Global Insight Expedition, which are 2-week immersions that happen over spring break. There's also the opportunity with your first year project to work on something global. So there are numerous opportunities during your time at Tuck, as well as full-term exchanges if you choose to take that opportunity. Thinking about these examples, these opportunities, students have taken on projects for many decades. Hundreds of companies and organizations have been impacted by the work that Tuck students have done through our global learning opportunities. Thinking about the organizations that you want to be part of and build after Tuck, you have the opportunity to explore while you're in the curriculum at Tuck and think about what is your calling? Where do you want to apply the skills and experiences that you've gained prior to Tuck, combining them with the experience in the MBA, and then launching after you graduate from Tuck. As you progress in your academic and global learning experiences, there's very much a personal and individual approach to your learning at Tuck. Individual attention is definitely delivered as you go through your academics and inside and outside the classroom. Thinking about watching businesses operate, you have the opportunity to experience global leaders throughout your time at Tuck, whether you are engaging with them as they lead a case discussion with a faculty member in a class, or maybe you are ushering them through a visiting executive day at Tuck where they're going to speak to one of the career clubs, and then everyone is going to get together for a dinner in the evening. We are very, very fortunate to be able to learn from so many visiting executives and alumni during the course of the year at Tuck. And when they come to Hanover, they are captive. They are happily captive. They are here to meet you, understand what your goals and interests are, and be able to engage with you in a significant way throughout their visit. That amount of access is something that gives you a unique perspective and definitely allows you to start to network there, which is also an important aspect of the MBA experience. So the community at Tuck is something that is very special. You have a learning community of 285 students in each class. And the essence of what distinguishes Tuck from our peer schools is our collaborative and trusting community. In this community, there is no self-selecting who you'll work with. You'll have to work with different study groups as you progress through the core curriculum, different project teams as you head into some of the experiential learning opportunities. And that is a challenge and an opportunity. As you think about the diverse perspectives in the class, you have significant opportunities to engage very closely with your classmates as you go through the academics, and also as you go through the more casual things in the community, like club meetings, working with research centers, and the list goes on from there. As a student, you'll be expected to contribute as much to the experience as you get from it. Students are really instrumental in creating and nurturing a closeness that is difficult to replicate. The community at Tuck is lived with intention. Over the years, students have created new traditions that are passed down from class to class. These include gathering in Stell Hall for the community-wide International Food Fest, our beautiful McLaughlin Atrium for our Tuck Talks, Tuck-style TED Talks, or sharing meals at small group dinners hosted at student homes. And of course, helping one another with their career search and interview preparation and case studies, which I'm sure has been going on since Tuck started in 1900. Our location will also have a distinct impact on your experience in this community. We are away from the distractions of the city, and our scale with 285 students per class provides the ideal environment for immersing yourself in and getting to know your classmates, reflecting on your aspirations, and testing your limits, knowing that your peers will be there to support you along the way. It's a wonderful proving ground to, again, knowing when and how to take risks for the better, which is a component of how you learn and live wise leadership throughout your 2 years at Tuck. Thinking about the class that you will be here with. So this is a view of some of the numbers and percentages of the class of 2021 that just started at Tuck. You have the opportunity to contribute to this extraordinary community. No one is anonymous at Tuck. The percentages that you see here, you feel that diversity in the classroom. You feel it when you're walking the halls at Tuck and interacting so closely in a small community. Our newly admitted class of 2021 reflects a community of diverse leaders. Tuckies are curious, they are creative, and have the ability to work with others. The diversity of your individual experiences, ideas, and dreams are definitely welcome at Tuck, and you will see this diversity represented in our alumni network as well. Thinking about the opportunity for networking, Tuck graduates are leaders of business, government, and society. Tuck alumni are fiercely loyal. More than 70% of Tuck graduates give back to the school every year, which is nearly 3 times our peers. We shine when it comes to the effectiveness of our alumni network. They are accessible, they are willing, able, and enthusiastic to share with you their Tuck experience and to help you shape your Tuck experience and also decide what you want to do when it comes to the career and what you'll do when you leave Tuck. Our graduates achieve leadership and management positions at the highest levels in their respective fields, yet remain incredibly willing to serve as important allies to students during your time at Tuck and throughout your career. Alumni give back through the admissions and recruiting process as visiting executives and guests in the classroom. And if you were to attend one of our Tuck events, it's very likely that there will also be several alumni there to share their experiences and talk with you one-on-one about what the Tuck opportunity and experience was like for them. Alumni giving has also impacted the work that we specifically do in admissions on a large scale. Due to alumni generosity and giving last year, Tuck has doubled its scholarship budget. That is something that has a very significant impact and is an incredible reflection of the dedication of our alumni and how they want to see Tuck grow and prosper with the next great class that is admitted to Tuck. Alumni support prospective and admitted students, and they also support current students. Alumni will come back as visiting executives. They will be mentors and opt in through something called the Tuck Networking Hub to let you know. They will be front and center for you to choose to connect with them. They host events. They will return your phone calls. It's something that is definitely woven into part of the Tuck fabric, that ability to give back. An alum had that experience when they were coming through as an admitted student. And so to be able to share their Tuck experience and help the next group of Tuckies is something that is very important to their identity as a Tuck alum. You will build and become a member of a strong and unrivaled professional network by being part of the Tuck community, and that will benefit you for the rest of your life. So thinking about what's next, there are so many questions and we're about to get to them. I hope I've been able to illuminate some of what makes Tuck distinctive and provide a platform for you to envision what you'd like your MBA experience to be. Our admissions process is recognized for being among the most open, transparent, and accessible. You can see that transparency and openness through our blogs, through our newly updated financial aid information on the website, through our guide to the current essays, which you can find on the blog, and just through email, through picking up the phone, any way that you want to access us. We want to help you and help you create a greater understanding for what this experience could be like for you. I invite you to experience the community. You're getting maybe a feel for it through some of these pictures. You're hearing some things that may resonate with the journey that you hope to have in your MBA. But there are many other ways to connect with the community. You can connect with students and alumni by visiting campus or taking advantage of our open interview policy when you decide to apply. And this is a time where we could launch another poll just to ask you a little bit about your engagement with Tuck or desire to come to campus or to an event. I'm confident that when you do engage with Tuck at a deeper level, you'll find the distinct atmosphere that make Tuck stand apart is undeniable. The shared student experience has many facets and is enriched by the belief that community is purposeful and that having a diversity of experiences, ideas, and dreams is essential for the transformative learning in this very personal and connected community. As you navigate your path toward Tuck, please stay connected through online chats and webinars, alum and student hosted in-person events, our open interview policy, and your email box. We are really happy to help you. Again, it's not just me, it's my one voice you're hearing today, but we have a whole team of individuals that are happy to connect with you and get you to the next step, whatever is going to help you understand Tuck a little bit better and bring you one step closer to us and your desire to accomplish an MBA is something that we want to be part of that journey with you. So we're happy to do that. It's part of my mission to do that, and I really take it seriously. So I hope to stay connected and that you'll continue to ask questions. I know that we have questions that have probably been adding up out there. So I'm happy to start taking some questions and make this a little bit more of a conversation than it's been in the last few minutes. So I'd be happy to head into that portion of our webinar if we're all ready for that.
Sure. And thank you, Amy, for the presentation thus far and for giving our attendees a lot of things to think about, because you are correct. There are a lot of really good questions, honestly. There's a good variety of different topics that are coming in. And as we're sorting through them, we can start to pose some of them for you and then continue to sort through the rest. So as our attendees are hanging out in the room, if you do have questions, continue to please put them into the Q&A box, and we will hopefully get to as many as we can. The only reason we would not ask a question out loud in this environment is if the question is too personal in nature that it would be inappropriate to answer. And for that, we'll give you some information at the end of how you can contact the Tuck team directly to get those questions answered. And the other reason we may skip a question or two is either due to time or if it's too similar to a different question that's already been asked. Okay, so just to make sure, we have a lot of people, we definitely want to get to as many questions as we can. But I also don't want people to think that for whatever reason we're avoiding any particular questions. So with that, one question that came in first was, when you're applying to Tuck, if someone does not have that international exposure that you mentioned earlier, how does that affect them as an applicant to the program?
Yeah. So with that, the international exposure is something that is a requirement for your experience at Tuck. So we hope that you emerge from the MBA with a greater global perspective and understanding than where you started. So if you are starting from a point of not having lived in more than one place, been outside your home country, I welcome that. We are ready, capable, with a list of opportunities for you to take on when you do come to Tuck. I do not view that as a disadvantage in your application. You are not seen as lesser of an applicant because you have not had that experience yet. There are students who come into the program every year, very successful applicants who they haven't had that yet. They're hoping to take advantage of that and look at Tuck as a place to help them broaden their global view. So that's not a disadvantage if you're coming into the application process without a global experience. I'm sure there are some great things that you have been focusing on that have prevented you from doing that. Sometimes we see people, with their different educational experiences and maybe sometimes those intense work weeks that have a hard time ending, and global is not part of your professional experience. You can explore that at Tuck. I welcome that. You will not be at a disadvantage in the application process. Perfect.
And then I think, as I mentioned earlier, there was a second question that was very similar to that. So I just want to make sure that that person realizes we kind of covered both sides of that question there. So, okay, next question that we have here is how can, and this is kind of like a two-parter, I guess, but overall, how do Tuck students, while they are MBA students there, engage with the broader Dartmouth community?
That's such a good question, and one that we often receive. It's the sky's the limit in a lot of ways, so I'll try to streamline my response. First, it's what are you interested in? So where do your passions lie for connecting with the Dartmouth community or an undergraduate community? And for some students, that is mentorship. And so we have something called the Dartmouth Professional Insights Network, where our Tuck resume book students volunteer to share their information with the undergrad career services, and any undergraduate who pages through that resume book and sees someone with a background that they're interested in, they can connect with that Tuck student, and that Tuck student will spend time with them as a bit of a career mentor. And so you have the opportunity to engage in that way. Many of our student groups, like our Women in Business, our BSAT, our Black students at Tuck, our HASA, our Hispanic students at Tuck will engage with the groups on the undergrad side of campus who, the specific affinity groups there. And again, it's a lot of mentorship. And as a Tuck student, you've had some professional experience. You are a little bit older and a little bit wiser than some of the undergrads on campus. And so you have the opportunity to say, this is what I tried, this is what worked, this is what didn't. And you have the chance to share your experience as a mentor. I, again, saw some of our students the other day meeting with a small group of undergrads, and it was just that. It was a career mentorship group. So there's that on the mentorship side. The other engagement is, you have the opportunity to take courses outside of Tuck, whether for audit or for credit. That's another way to engage. Also, where Tuck is located, we are on the west end of campus, and directly across from us is the Thayer School of Engineering. And so many of our students will, often there have been students who have a business idea, but not all of maybe the tech savvy. And so engaging with a student at the Thayer School can be really helpful. We engage across campus when it comes to innovation and entrepreneurship. So there are project pitch sessions that anyone across campus can participate in. We have a student who is a graduate in the class of 2014 and started a company as a result of a collaboration with a Dartmouth chemistry professor at one of these pitch nights. So the engagement, the opportunities across campus can be significant depending upon your capacity and your interest. And I'll just take it one step further briefly to say it's not just on the undergrad, not just on the Dartmouth campus side, and there are many more opportunities than the ones I just rattled off, but also in the community. So the community around us is called the Upper Valley, and in the Upper Valley there are numerous organizations that our students reach out to do pro bono consulting projects with, to just volunteer their time, and that comes under, we have a Tuck Volunteers Club as well, and their engagement in the community is quite active throughout their time at Tuck. So I'll stop there, but happy to answer any other specific questions on that.
All right. Moving into another question, and this is, it was actually posed very nicely because it was recognizing that this is a little different than what most business schools look for, at least openly, the admissions criteria of being nice, right? And some of those other key characteristics that you look for in the admissions process. So the student asked, or the attendee, I guess, I don't know if they're a student, do you have examples of how this criteria is specific to NICE that you look for in the admissions process? How is that brought through the curriculum, being more ethically focused when you're making your decisions, and sometimes making difficult decisions that are maybe more inconvenient while keeping that in mind? Is there any examples of how that's kind of brought through the curriculum and through the learning paths that you have there?
Absolutely. And so just to take it one quick step back, NICE is an element of our admissions criteria that it's something we've always looked for, and I have always seen in our successful applicants and then community members here at Tuck, but it has just definitely been brought to the forefront a little bit more and more clearly articulated so candidates know what we are looking for. And also, it sounds like the person who asked the question is very engaged with the definition of NICE, with some of the things that were in the question. So good on you for taking a look closely at the criteria. But the examples of that and how we see that in the curriculum, I think it's, one, I see it in the study groups. So that niceness is going out of your way for a study group member perhaps who does not have a quantitative background where you might. And as you go through the curriculum, you are definitely tested in all subject areas, but the quant piece can be particularly challenging, especially for someone who doesn't have that background. And when I see current students reaching out to their peers to say, I'm going to run an extra study session, or we're going to stay until you get this, that is an aspect of really going out of your way for someone else. Also, a great example is in the study group. So the cold call is a piece of the academic experience in the MBA classroom, probably throughout every MBA classroom, but definitely at Tuck. That cold call where you have a bunch of material you need to prepare, and the next day in class, the faculty member it is their prerogative to reach out to anyone in that classroom. And some people have a hard time speaking up. And I have seen study groups build one another up in ways that say, okay, we're going to get you so prepped and so ready that you're going to want to raise your hand high because you're going to be so ready to contribute. So that kind of, not just the kind of very specific support on, okay, how do I get this problem set done? But also that emotional support of, you've got this and we're all here cheering for you, whether you get the answer right or wrong. The other nice that I see many times is when students are helping one another prepare for recruiting. And so thinking about, for example, students going into consulting and the requirement of preparing that for that case interview. Our second year students will open up their calendars to any first year or any second year who need to do that case preparation. They're not charging for it. They're not limiting you. Like, they're literally opening their calendar and using time that they could be doing something else just to help you. And so I see that all the time. The examples, it's the generosity. That is where I see a lot of the nicest, the generosity, where people who, we all only have a certain amount of time, but fellow students really using their time to advance the learning or the job prospects, two very significant things in your MBA, and advancing that for their fellow classmates just because they can. So I see it played out in that kind of layer of generosity and engagement with your peer students at Tuck.
All right. Amy, you may be standing there for a while. We have a lot of really good questions coming in. So let's see. We have another one about, again, the location, right? So this is very popular. There's a lot of little tips and tricks of how these questions are being posed, but just kind of generally being located in Hanover, kind of near the Boston market in the Northeast US. How is that location making a difference in recruiting for your students post-grad? And then do Tuck students have the same networking options being located where you are versus other schools they could choose from?
I'll lead with a stat and then I'll follow up hopefully efficiently with some examples. So thinking about how does the location impact career success for students, I would say that the location is something that, there are so many positives to the location. Yes, we are located outside of the city, but recruiters jump at the chance to come back to Hanover. And we have hundreds of recruiting relationships. There are hundreds of companies that will come to campus, and many others that maybe you're connecting with virtually or outside of campus. But the reputation of our current students and graduates really speak loudly for the next group of Tuckies that will come through the program. And there will be no barriers as you think about where you want to take yourself for your future career search. The location does not have a negative impact on that. We have had 98% placement for students with full-time offers and 100% placement for students who are heading into summer internships. It's just a statistic, right? But the work and opportunity that go into that is something that is very real. Students have incredible career success. We are not only preparing students in the classroom to be ready for the interview opportunities, but it's also the opportunities that exist for our students because of the work of our career services team, because many alumni are just fervent supporters of Tuck and want to recruit other Tuckies to come to their company. And so they are going out of their way to come back to campus. One case in point, I saw an alum who was here this past weekend, and she was very proud to tell me, without mentioning her company's name or another school's name, that she was very excited to say, haha, Tuck got 5 and so only got 1. Meaning her company made 5 offers to Tuckies and only 1 offer to another particular school, and she had a big hand in that. And so I think the engagement outside at companies, and then the readiness that you have for that opportunity because of career services is something that is a winning combination. Yes, we are located outside the city. Yes, when you go for your second round interviews, it will take you a little bit longer to arrive at that destination, but that time travel is the only limitation. The opportunities are not limited at all. And also with some of the innovation, or the innovation in the curriculum this year, one of our goals this year with the curriculum review, it was to better balance the delivery of academics and or better coordinate the academics and recruiting process as you go through, in particular, your first year. And so in the winter term of your first year, when most people are in the nitty-gritty of recruiting, you have your required course load is significantly decreased. So this meets so many great things in the community. So this means that faculty will not be missing students in the classroom because they've run off for interviews. And this means that you have the time to travel to second round interviews. You have the time to maybe stand in a room like this and do a remote interview for the company that you're looking forward to working with, or have time to sit down with a second year and do that case prep interview. So I think I went off on a little bit of an excited tangent there, but our career placement statistics are very, very strong. The location will not prevent you from connecting with a company. And some of our students would say that the location can be an asset for when you do show up at that company. They know how long it took you to make that trip. So I just think the resources, opportunities to prepare, engagement with recruiters throughout your time at Tuck, opportunities to balance coming and going from campus with academics during that heavy recruiting season is more manageable than ever. And also whether, students would often talk about in the past, like, okay, if I'm on the West Coast and come to the East Coast, can I get back to the East Coast? If I'm international and I can come to the East Coast for Tuck, can I get back to international? In talking to students who have had great career search success, it's basically not even a worry, because the opportunities, no matter what geography you're looking for, are something that it's quite reasonable to attain that as you go through recruiting as well.
All right, and we have, I'm going to try and transition here. It may be a little messy, but I'm going to do my best.
Okay.
So speaking about career opportunities and the availability of networking and the location and all of that, right? There was a recent ranking that one of the attendees mentioned of the Bloomberg Business Week MBA rankings, where Dartmouth popped up at number 2. Mm-hmm. So just a little plug for that new ranking. And I know a major portion of that was the rating for entrepreneurship at Tuck, and the options for candidates who are looking to start their own company and go on from there. So the question that came in is hopefully a simple one. How does Tuck support entrepreneurship?
Sure. So thank you. So it's Tuck, not only Tuck, but also resources at Dartmouth that can help support your path to entrepreneurship. So the Center for Entrepreneurship, led by Daniela Reichstetter, who's a graduate of the class of 2008, is something that's been, there are even more resources. So the Center for Private Equity, entrepreneurship used to be paired with the Center for Private Equity, but because of increased interest and resources available at Tuck, entrepreneurship has its own center, and there are numerous opportunities in the curriculum to focus on entrepreneurship. And also there is an incubator at Tuck. There is a fellows program where you can continue to work on your entrepreneurial idea throughout the academics, or it can become a component of the academics for you. There are resources at Tuck that are too long to list in this moment, but happy to follow up with some of those. But it's not just Tuck for the entrepreneurs out there. It's also Dartmouth. As I mentioned in an earlier example, the Innovation Center at Dartmouth, the Entrepreneurship Initiative at Tuck, all of these, there's a lot of collaboration across campus when it comes to entrepreneurship. So I think it's just increased dedicated resources to entrepreneurship, a specific center director with one of our alums who is now back on campus and leading the charge, and also continued collaboration with Dartmouth.
All right. Next question would be regarding big data and tech. Lots of questions about career and career paths. So that's the mindset of our group here. So what is Tuck doing curriculum-wise or with experiential learning or different aspects of the program there to prepare students for that tech revolution, the big data, the analytics, all of those kind of hot-button topics these days?
Sure. So that's something that we've long done co-curricularly, but this year, for the first time, again, with the curriculum review, a data analytics focused course is in your core curriculum at Tuck. So that's one very specific way, a requirement in the first year. There are numerous electives as you head to the end of your first year into your second year. So that's something very specific and required. The co-curricular opportunities come to you very significantly through our Center for Digital Strategies. The Center for Digital Strategies leads numerous courses in kind of a Tech 101 topics in all sorts of programming and analytics, and not just kind of seminars that you can take to get an eye on what big data and analytics look like, but also speakers who will come in from prominent organizations that talk about here's how you really apply it. And so you're going to see it in the classroom, but then be able to hear from leaders in tech that will talk about big data, that are going to talk about those most relevant topics. But the Center for Digital Strategies allows students to be very hands-on when it comes to those areas of interest. And so the Center for Digital Strategies has a first-year associates program, meaning first-year students who want to be more significantly involved can opt in to kind of really be firsthand in what is the direction of the center and what topics are going to be covered, for example, in a Data 101 series, and then second years who are leadership fellows in the Center for Digital Strategies who are doing a lot to engage with leaders in tech. So those are a few very specific things.
Very nice. Okay, so next up we have, what is the environment like for students, so current MBA students who have partners and or children
Sure.
while they're attending the program?
Sure. Well, so I'll just break the news to you right here for anyone who's applying to Tuck and bringing a partner with them. Many alums would say that if they could come back to Tuck and do it all over again, they would do it as a partner and not as a student, because they'd have all the same network and none of the homework. So that's just a little shout out to the partner community. We have had long-standing efforts to make the partner experience as robust and as integrated as possible at Tuck. The opportunities for partners exist in different layers, levels, and it depends on what your partner is interested in. But the community is open to partners and families and pets and all of those things. So with partners specifically, we have partners who work at Tuck, partners that have been hired by Dartmouth, work for large companies and organizations in the area. There's something called the Dartmouth Job Flyer, where you can take a peek at some of the opportunities, and that's mostly for the college and the hospital, which are two of the largest employers in the area, but not the only. So that's kind of just a view on some opportunities that might be available if your partner plans to work while they're here. Many partners also now, with our digital age, it's easy for them or manageable for them to work remotely. So some partners are here with their students and they're working remotely. There's many of our students who bring significant others and families with them to Tuck live in a place called Sachem Village. It's SACHEM. And I always consider that kind of like a Tuck 2, because that is an Insta community and neighborhood when you arrive at Tuck if you're living off campus. Just as we have a very engaged student board that has, funding and opportunities for events and engagement with the community, we have a partner board as well. And I just make a list like this. There are this many student clubs and this many partner clubs, so ways to engage for fun, socially, all sorts of things to get connected to the community. The buildings, the physical space at Tuck is available to all partners. Partners can audit classes at Tuck and Dartmouth. There are a few restrictions, but that wouldn't be unexpected, because students are first in line for all courses, but partners can definitely audit courses. I could go on and on. Just as there will be a new student orientation for you when you come to Tuck, there is a partner orientation alongside of it. So your partner realizes that this is also a space for them, and we welcome them. Case in point, one of the favorite opportunities and events of the year, we just passed by Halloween, and so we had the Tiny Tuckies Halloween Parade. So Tiny Tucky, that's any any small little one that you're bringing with you to Tuck, and I bet some people dressed up their dogs, but I can't say for sure. So lots of ways that you will engage as a student and that your partner and family will engage significantly with the community. It's very open in that way.
So what you're saying is I need to get my wife to get into Dartmouth so I can reap the benefits? Is that a nice trick?
I think that's, well, and there are, some people who, one part of a couple will come to Tuck, and then the partner will get a view of Tuck and want to apply the following year. And so then everybody gets to be a partner, but it's a great environment to be a student, but also to be someone who's coming with a student. So the advice that I will give you out there is definitely allow your partner to do some research about Tuck right alongside you. If your partner wants to get connected to the partner community, we can help you with that as well. So let us know.
All right. And so we have only a couple minutes left, but there were a couple of more application-focused questions that I hope would be kind of quick answer ones that we can fly through. So there's about 3 or 4 more, and then we'll kind of cut it off. Giving people their time back at the top of the hour. So number 1 would be: does Tuck have a minimum GMAT/GRE cutoff score that you need to meet?
No, but you want to look at what the average scores are and try to be competitive on that measure. There is definitely a range. There's an average score. There's a range of scores. We admit a whole range of scores. There is an opportunity to be admitted to Tuck with a whole range of scores, which I see every year. But thinking about how close are you to that average score puts you in a better position. So thinking about, okay, do I feel like the score is low and maybe I want to retake the test to be a little bit more competitive? It not only helps you be competitive for admission, but also for potential future scholarship. And so while it's not a measure of everything, it is a competitive measure. We're looking at kind of, as part of that SMART criteria, it's not only, the actions that you've taken and the ways that you've shown success professionally that show SMART, but also thinking about the combination of your undergrad experience and your GMAT or GRE score, something to think about. And look at the averages, look at the ranges, and you have to go from there. So you want to think about how you can be as competitive as possible on that measure.
And then on the reverse, so let's say other than your GMAT scores, what are some other ways you can present yourself as a strong candidate to the program?
Yeah, absolutely. With some of your demonstrated impact professionally, okay? So you don't have to have a vice president or director title, first of all, to show that you've been accomplished professionally and have had impact. So share with us the details of what you have done, how you have impacted your organization. I see that as a very positive sign, is then how will you contribute here at Tuck? And again, you can talk about that specifically in the application, but many times with your professional experience, that is a great way for you to highlight impact, for you to highlight your skill set that you can then maybe help your study group with. And that, kind of lays the foundation for future career success as well. So I see it a lot with some of the professional experience people have had. And also significant impact and engagement that can happen outside your professional environment. And that shows leadership, which is also important to us.
Yeah, probably would help to unmute the microphone. Okay, so timing of when you would submit your application versus sitting for the applicant-initiated interview. And the side question to this question was, it looks like the availability of those interviews are lower than what students would expect, I guess. So will there be more dates that'll open up in the calendar?
So I don't know if you're So right now, we have come to the end of the applicant-initiated interview opportunity for round 1. As we head into round 2, the application is due in early January. Completing the application is not until either the end of January or just the 1st of February. Please look at the deadlines. So that gives you a buffer. We will definitely have interviews available through January. So more interview availability will will start to come your way. If you have opened an application, we share with you when new interview slots are available. And I'm always happy to talk offline about that if you need some advice about the interview and kind of how you schedule that or coordinate that with your application due date.
Perfect. And then one last one here, realizing that there just was a Tuck Diversity event this past weekend, when will the next one be for interested candidates?
Sure. So we have one specific diversity conference every year. So we had that in person and it was also broadcast virtually. The fall is the season of events. So we had our women's conference the week before, the diversity conference this past weekend. The future events that we will be hosting will be some alumni-led coffee chats, which will be focused on an alum leading the conversation who has either applied through the consortium or who has led or been a member of one of our affinity groups at Tuck. And so the diversity-focused coffee chats will be small-scale events, and those will be the next things that you will see on our calendar, and that will start to get populated as we head into December and the new year.
Perfect. And I think with that, we are now at the top of the hour. So to allow Amy some time back to get back to some of these applications and interviews and events and the million different things that she has going on, I want to thank her for giving us your time today and answering a lot of really great questions. And just for the attendees in the room, this does not mean that the conversation has to end. Wow, timing is amazing. As Alina has just posted, if you do have additional questions, you can always contact the Tuck team directly and continue these conversations. Again, unfortunately, we just do not have enough time to get to every single question, so we tried to stick to the more general questions or where we can combine some of them, but that does not mean that your question is not important. So just please send that question over to the email address that is posted in the chat. If you have called into this session, we will be contacting you as well. So those of you who have registered for the event, we'll make sure that we can share with you the recording of this event, as well as the information to contact Tuck directly and get some of your questions answered. Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. Fully support it. And thank you all for tuning in. We hope to keep in touch with you.
Awesome. And again, thank you all for joining and being a part of this session today. We will continue to have more events like this with Dartmouth on clearadmit.com. And if you do need any assistance or help or tips or advice on getting through the application process, choosing between schools, or just some general cool news about MBA programs, check out clearadmit.com and register with us for free to get all that cool content. So hopefully we'll see you guys again soon.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.